You're looking at a daily chart of the Nasdaq. Welcome to my weekly review. My disclaimer is my disclaimer. Do your own due diligence, big boys and girls. Anyway, we've been waiting 14 months for this thing to get in a power trend and, trade through its 200 simple moving average. So this is, for me, this is heaven. It seems like it's, like a oasis in the desert. It's been such a long time. But you can see that it made this low and then kind of retested. And now is, in 2023 is driven straight through its 200 simple moving average. So this is what we want. This is what we wait for. I'm not even going to look at any other index because the Nasdaq's where it's at for me. If you're a growth stock trend trading investor, I do want to go back to, I want to backdate this and use MarketSmith. Backdate to July 4th of 1975. History doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes. If we have anything like this, you can see the low here in the retest back in 74, and then in 75 at the beginning of the year, like in January, it just started ramping, just like in 2023. A lot of similarities here, and if it does anything like this, we can expect the Nasdaq to have a sustained rally here in 2023 of maybe up to about 14,000. We'll see. We'll take it one day at a time, as we always do. But things are looking good. And we'll come back to today's Nasdaq. And I want to just take a look at some of the drivers of the Nasdaq. You see this Meta Platforms. When you see a big stock like this make a move of 23% on 375% above average daily volume, you need to pay attention. This is not to be ignored, Dan. This is takes a lot of demand to move a stock like that because it's got a ton of supply. And so Meta Platforms is definitely driving the Nasdaq higher. Tesla is the only one of these mega cap tech stocks that's showing any signs of growth here. We got 40% earnings per share and 37% sales growth. The rest of these, like Microsoft, is showing like 2% sales growth. Netflix, I can't get interested in 2% growth here. Apple just reported last week, negative. Amazon bombed as well, and Google. I just cannot get interested in 1% sales growth. So anyway, that's it for the mega cap tech stocks. They drive the Nasdaq, but there's a lot of strength underneath the surface here, and I just can't get to all of them. There's too many, but I do like the semiconductor stocks and the drugs and the steel and the home builders and the software and the retail. I'm going to get to, as much as I can here in a 10-minute weekly video, but this is Allegro Microsystems broke out of this base here. We had it MC stock charts. You can see the shakeout here, this little handle shakeout and then breakout, right? And it is up more than 20%. And that's a 8-week hold rule for, the IBD folks. AEHR is another one. Talk about a shakeout. This one, sliced its 50. Everybody says out of the boat. And then it does the Debo Samuel cut back. And here it is, a stiff arm here, and then goes for the touchdown and spikes the ball. Just, trading above its 10. Every time it pulls back to the 10, it gets support there. So that's a pretty easy tell. LSCC, Lattice, this one just broke out last week and looks pretty strong. It's definitely one to watch after the breakout. AMD is another one like Meta. When you see a stock like that moving, on that kind of volume, 12.6% on 167% above average daily volume, you got to pay attention to that. That's a nice breakout for AMD. But I kind of tend to gravitate towards the newer merchandise. This is STM Micro, and this is got, actually, you need to look at the weekly chart. It's a weekly review, so let's look at the weekly charts. Nice symmetrical base here, and I think this one has more room to run. It's right there around $50. So yeah, I expect more from that one. PI, this one bothers me a little bit. You can see the tight trading here when it broke out, and it was trading tight again, but lately it's gotten wide and loose. Traded down to its 21 on Friday. Might just be a shakeout, probably just a shakeout here as it trades down to the 21. It's got a buy point there. Pattern, or it picks it up at 129, but I want to see it perform a little better and get above that 130 level. ACLS, we traded this one beautifully, 80 to 88, sell it, pull back to 80, buy it again, and let it ramp. This thing is running hard, and just one of the stronger stocks. There's a lot of semis. I'm going to stop there though. because I need to get to the retail group. And the Dillard's, obviously, this base here, and this running higher. They got earnings on the 22nd, so be mindful of that if you're long. Like to see more volume come into this stock, but it's performing well. ELF, obviously the ELF on the shelf. People were worried that it sliced its 50. It was just profit taking at the beginning of the year. Flattened out here along its 50. Traded tight. We like tight. I don't like those wide and loose bases, and now it gapped higher. So we're looking for tight trading stocks. And we have one here in CROX after breaking out. It's up 150% since the low here in July. So it's taken a little break here. If you look at it on the weekly here, this is like a 3 weeks tight pattern. Yeah, pattern rec picks that up. So they report earnings on February 16th, and I'm looking for good things from CROX. You know, they have $30 shoes they make for $2. They got the best margins in the business. I would expect a strong report from them. Who can't afford a $30 shoe? Speaking of shoes, this is a $175 shoe. I don't have the shoe, but I like the stock, and it pulled back on Friday. Yeah, back to its 21. No big deal here. Just forming this IPO base here, and looks good to me. But again, they have earnings not till next month, but we'll have to wait and see on that. I expect a shakeout before any breakouts on that one. ASO. This one is gone. This is on our watch list at the MC stock charts, and it's just extended now out of its buy zone. That's power from the pivot, baby. So anyway, I could go through like a ton more retail, just like semis, but I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to go to some of the software stocks that I like. This one is a leader in the group. I mean, there's a lot of them in this group, but you could see the 4 or 5 weeks up in a row here. This one's just powering higher. And it's got some of the smaller players here, TOST. This one trying to break out of the base there at 23, and FLYW. And this one is doing, let me see here, FLYW. Yeah, just forming the space. That one looks good as well. Kind of like TOST. I'm trying to look for some of the other ones here. MGNI. I don't know why I have this one on here. So, it's a software stock in a base there, and it's showing strength. So good. It gapped up here and trading a little flat. Now formed this little base. That one looks good as well. And SHOP. I put SHOP in this. We had this on our watch list as well. This one broke out, from 45 to 54. That was a nice move there of 20%. So SHOP, it's been getting some Wall Street attention, some upgrades and stuff. So that looks good. I'm going to switch gears here and go to the steel stocks. STLD is one of the faves here. This is one of the leading groups, and it's a top performer in 2023. The group is up like 34%. This thing's up like 32, 33%. In 2023, Nucor, same thing. This one's forming a base. Got to look at the weekly. This is a weekly review, you dummy. Anyway, you can see this forming a nice base here and trying to break out. Cleveland Cliffs has been a monster. They have earnings on Valentine's Day, so that's coming up. As you can tell, if you go to any store, you can see all the candies, the flowers, and the hearts. The home builders, got to go to the home builders. Pulte Homes, this looks like really extended on the daily, but the weekly shows this kind of base on base pattern, and last week had a nice 11.7% gain with increasing volume, pulled back on Friday, pretty much like everything else. Pulte looks good. Meritage, just similar to Pulte. These things kind of trade together. You can see the base on base pattern here in the blue dot here, which indicates the relative strength, and some volume coming into this one as well. GRBK, this is the one from the South, Atlanta, Dallas markets. It's a smaller player, but again, similar with the base on base pattern, the RS blue dot there. So this one's showing strength, pull back on Friday like everything else. And this one is in the general area of construction. I wanted to point this out because the gap out of the base here. We had a lot of stocks gapping. I'm going to get to that a little later, but I want a new drug. I want to show you some drug stocks. TGTX, one of my faves here, broke out around that $9.70 area and just been mining its 10 EMA. I expect it to pull back to that 10 pretty soon, but looking at the weekly, this thing has room to run. They have a new drug, and I expect the management to execute the launch of the drug and to perform well in 2023. Revance, this is the anti-wrinkle cream. Daxify, this one broke out earlier. This is one of my breakouts here that was up 54% with 724% above average daily volume. Like I said, you got to pay attention to that kind of stuff. And this one has just been ramping higher ever since, because institutions don't, build positions in one swoop. That could be short covering, sure, but institutions buying would indicate, a longer term play for a stock like with a new drug of like that one. PLRX, this one went up on approval, I believe, gapped higher and holding its gains and letting the moving averages catch up. I'm going to stop with the drug stocks right there, right? Nope, I lied. NVO gapped out of this base here, ripped higher, and then pulled back. So this is the first pullback to the 50 after the breakout, which turned out to be a gift as it advanced nearly 5% on Friday. Pointed that out on Twitter. I don't know if anybody paid attention. Anyway, I said I was going to get to some of these gap ups. You got to pay attention to these gaps. I believe I have these, annotated here. 14% with 238% above average daily volume on November 9th formed this base. And now this one looks like it wants to make another move higher. Earnings on February 24th. XM is another stock, gapped higher and is holding its gains here, and looks like the moving averages are catching up. So that one looks good. OI, there's just a ton of them that have been gapping and ripping higher. This one doing the same thing. RKT is another one. Breakout that is doing well. FICO and PI, I think I mentioned PI already. FICO is another one. Yeah, gapped higher. This is before the Nasdaq, started trending higher. These ones are leading ahead of the index. URI is another one that I really like. You notice a tight trading on this one here before the breakout. You can see it on the weekly here. 3 weeks tight, just like CROX is this week. Tight trading, tight. For me, tight is my ally and wide and loose is my enemy. I like the tight trading, gapped higher on earnings, and just continues to power higher and advancing to higher prices. A couple other stocks that I like, just highlighting a couple stocks here before I go. CHWY, this one looked like it wanted to run on Friday and pulled back with the market conditions, where it's just in pullback mode. So look for this one to have a little shakeout before the breakout. And Monster is my last one. I'm going to end on the Monster. This one is just consolidating here in a flat base. Had a little shakeout last week below the 50. Something tells me that the weak hands are going to sell to the stronger hands, and then the stronger hands are going to see this thing run up past 105. Anyway, that's it for this week. Thank you for watching. We never give up.